another UFC card in the books. Actually, the last UFC card for the year. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Jose Aldo, Pereira. I mean, pretty stacked card for a fight night, of course, being that it's the last card of the year. I gotta say, even though the fights were good, the fights lived up to a lot of the possibilities. I don't know if the event felt great, like I kind of thought it would. But some really good performances. All the champions, all the ex-champions, all came out with a win for the most part. I thought Wonderboy looked fantastic. There was a cut there that kind of messed things up a little bit, especially for Neal. But overall, good performances by both. Wonderboy, he's a super high-level striker. Looked really good. I don't know where this puts him for his next fight, but I think he wants Masvidal. There's a couple really good, names out there that I think could come into play, early next year. And Geoff Neal, for those of you who don't know, and actually I didn't know all the details until after the fight. Geoff Neal this year goes through COVID. He goes through congestive heart failure. He goes through sepsis. He's hospitalized. He lost consciousness. I mean, the guy was so close to death. He still works, I believe, a full-time job. Still a great. I mean, they put him in here against one of the greats, but he, great himself, proved to be a dog in the fight, and he put on a great performance. Now, I don't know how his training was. I heard doctors wanted him to wear a heart vest, shock vest, just in case. All that mental stuff has to form a big part of how he trains and how far he's willing to go. But none of that was evident, in the fight. He looked great. His cardio looked great. He didn't look fearful in any way. Didn't hold back. Just Wonderboy, just beat him fair and square in a technical side. Jose Aldo takes the win. It was great to see Vera get in there against somebody who's a legend, who's a big name. I thought that was great for Vera's career. Another great story, somebody who started fighting, at that level because of trying to help his daughter and pay for medical treatments and stuff. So cool guy to watch. He had a huge win against Sugar Sean O'Malley, which kind of boosted him to this level to get that Aldo fight. But Aldo a little bit too much to handle. Pereira, it was a good fight. I think he's been more exciting in the past, but I think in this fight it was nice because it showed that he's a strong, agile, pretty high volume striker who isn't always as crazy as you might think, because he's the flipping guy. He does a bunch of things off the cage and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, great fights. Moraes versus Font, that was a little bit surprising. I actually was going for Font. I thought Font would have had a great victory if it would be great for his record to get that victory over Moraes. But he did it. He did it. I wasn't sure because Moraes is a killer, straight up killer, at the highest level. So it was very cool to see Font win. Now Hardy was the one that I did not expect. Granted, at that weight class, anything can happen. Anybody can go down. But Hardy had actually been on a very good pace for getting his name in the top of that division. But no, apparently, when you go to the ground, your stamina and your striking doesn't really help you. And he just didn't have enough tools. And that's what it is. Can he get those tools? I think he can definitely grow those tools and develop some new things to his arsenal. But at his age and how late in his career he came into the sport, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know if he manages to do that. But he said he's game for getting back in there and proving that was just kind of like a fluke. So great night of fights. We don't have anything coming up until January, where we'll see Max Holloway against Cater, which is going to be fireworks. That's going to be a great fight. In the meanwhile, holiday season. That's all we got. But on today's show, we have the new Ray Robinson, Philly boxer. Couldn't be more on brand with the show, right? He was a great chat to have, and he's actually been training with for a while with Eddie Alvarez in MMA. So it was cool to talk to him. He had lots to say about the recent fights, Triple G, Canelo, a lot of boxing, a lot of good boxing recently. So that's great to see for the sport. And he had the insight. So here's our interview with the new Ray Robinson.
Yeah, so basically right now I'm just trying to just waiting on that phone call. So the pandemic slowed everything down. It kind of sucks too because I feels like I just started getting the ball rolling.
Right.
My last 2 fights, 2019, was like huge for me because I fought Kavalauskas and then I fought Just Kelly, and I feel like they was the two big names, and I thought I won both of them fights that wound up being draws, but the whole pandemic thing kind of just stopped everything.
So for somebody in your place where your career's like right there about to take off, into like the household name situation, does that ambition to kind of like, are you still in the same place mentally to like get back into the flow of things, or
Oh yeah. So I mean, even if you're not there, I think as soon as that phone call happens, you snap right back into beast mode or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Things it's just a waiting game right now.
Right, gotcha. So how much? So how, I talk to a lot of fighters who aren't actually big fight watching, or big fans of just watching the sport as a spectator. Where do you fall in there? Do you follow all the fights?
I do follow the fights, but I kind of get the whole not a big fan of it. But no, I watch it. If I find out some good fights on, I definitely tune in.
So I'm assuming you watched Triple G. You watched the Canelo fight.
Yeah, but I was also watching one of my stablemates, Jerron Ennis, and then the whole headbutt thing happened. So
right.
It kind of sucks, but I always checking on my man.
That was a nasty cut. But luckily Ennis didn't get too cut up, right? He was in the eyebrow.
No, he didn't get cut.
He didn't get cut at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of dripping going on there, and it's one of those things that is a bummer because you want to see how the fight plays out, but you can't be fighting in that type of condition. So I think it was a good stop.
Yeah.
So Triple G, I think he looked better than he has in a long time, even including the last Canelo fight, in my opinion. As far as his physique and as far as his performance, I thought he put on a great show. I was actually thinking maybe Canelo wouldn't, and he would then kind of warrant that next fight, that third fight. What did you think about his performance?
Well, I feel as though that Triple G, his head movement got better. I feel like since he fought Canelo, he got more slicker, right? And I feel like that's the same thing with when Canelo lost to Floyd. He got better as of defense-wise, right? He got better with like head movement and things like that. I feel like Triple G kind of took a page out of that book and he got better with his head movement.
Yeah, I agree. There was definitely enough clips going around social media just showing him, just perfectly missing those shots. I thought he looked, not only did he drop the guy, several times, which made him look great. I thought his like you said, his defense looked really good. But where does that put Triple G? Because I feel like, I've always been a Triple G fan, but I feel like he's never really gotten, I think if he would have been Canelo, he would have became that big name, but he's kind of been stuck behind because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I would love for him to fight the Charlo brothers or Demetrius and things like that. So
the Charlo brothers are always looking for that shine that I feel like they haven't gotten. They're exciting enough to watch, and the fact that they're the brothers and all this stuff, I think gives them something for people to follow. But you think a Triple G would be that step?
Yeah, I just think that they never got that big fight that they wanted. So I think that they kind of they made like plenty of money, but I just think they didn't get that the big fight.
The superstar kind of level. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So Canelo, I'm gonna paint my picture of Canelo to you, and then you give me the real insight for why I should maybe think differently. So Canelo's obviously one of the best, right? And I like him, but he's gotten to a point like he never excited me in the beginning of his career. I feel like he's better now. As far as obviously he's a better fighter, but I think he's more exciting to watch. But in the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan. But he's gotten to the point that I feel like he's a Mayweather, where you want to get excited because you want a challenging fight for him, but it's like no matter if he wins or loses, he's winning. And that's a little frustrating, I think. I gave one of the fights to Triple G. There's a couple other fights that have been iffy to me, and typical Vegas judges and all this stuff. And it just kind of, for being such a big fan of boxing, I hate when things are kind of murky like that because it feels like it makes the sport look bad. What do you think about Canelo overall as a fighter?
I think he's a good fighter. I think that the Triple G, got him bigger. I think the first fight was super close, and I thought he beat Triple G easy the second time. I would like for him to fight same thing like the Demetrius Andre Boo Boo, them the younger guys, them type of not gonna lay down.
Right.
The other the guy he fought, I really didn't know him like that. Same thing with Triple G, like the other guy, I want to see them guys, they getting paid well. I want to see them guys fight like big names, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Smith, I don't know. To me, if you're that tall, your reach is that much better than Canelo's. Why? Like I said, you inform me better, but why are you walking backwards the whole fight? Right?
Yeah.
Why are you not sticking him with the jab as your main source of control for the fight to set up other punches? It was very frustrating to watch.
No. I feel as though that he came in there without confidence. To me, I feel as though that he didn't try to set the tone either with the from the gate with the I'm taller, I'm longer, I'm gonna stick the jab in your face, I'm gonna control the pace. He basically just let Canelo want, and I think it went off of Canelo's name, such as he basically lost the fight before he actually got in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's my opinion.
But to be at that level where you're holding the belts, the guy's going into your weight class, you're undefeated. I mean, I think how do you not use that as the motivation to want to keep your place?
You would think that, but I don't know. He didn't fight like that at all. He didn't fight like you coming up in my weight class, I'm gonna bully you. I'm gonna control this. He didn't fight like that at all. He fought like he was the little guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
It was strange.
Isn't it funny? I feel like Canelo's punch has the power. He brought it up to that weight, which is usually not the case.
He carried this punching power up to that weight. Yeah.
His defensive skills have gotten way better than they used to be. I mean, he's almost like showing off at this point. With some of these things. I guess he really is that good, and I don't know who he's going to fight that's going to give him that challenge unless he fights the young guys. But then if he's smart, like Mayweather, you either catch him young or you catch him old, and you're not fighting that threatening competition.
Yeah, I think that they invested enough money in Canelo that they definitely going to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying, and be smart with it. So I think he'll be all right. And
of course he is. Yeah, he's been all right. He's a free agent, right? He's taking one fight at a time.
Yep.
So that's definitely the smart move on the business side.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he, like you said, to me. I think now I see that he's taking the Floyd Mayweather route, right?
Yeah.
He fought who they wanted him to fight, so now he's picking and choosing who he wants and kind of controlling his own career. Yeah,
and they kind of put him on ice for a while too. He wasn't getting any fights when he was with the Zone and all that stuff. The worst thing for a fighter, and even for the fans, is for you to basically be out for a year or be out for you need that constant action. I would think as a fighter, and also to keep your name relevant.
Yeah.
So transitioning to the sport of MMA. I know that you've been working with some, MMA guys. Who are you currently kind of working with?
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie Alvarez. How's that going? How did that kind of come about?
Eddie just been friends for a while. He took, he brought me on one of the, I think, Ultimate Fighter shows. He's just been one of my, my best friends for a while, and we're just cool, and I help him out a lot with just pads and working on my.
Mm-hmm. So how does MMA striking is a little bit different with, you know, or at least with the ones that aren't considered, you know, boxer, MMA kind of athletes. How is that for you? Like, do you just stay focused on boxing type pad work, or do you adapt a little bit?
No, just strictly just boxing. You know, I mean, Eddie already knows that when you you know, you start up standing up. You don't start up laying down. You know, so I feel as though that, you know, Eddie got really good hands for a UFC fighter. He got good boxing. You know? So sorry.
It's all right.
But yeah, Eddie that was really well. You know, really well, and so yeah, I just do strictly box with him, and he gets it.
But that's such a huge thing to bring, you know, like, to your point, yeah, it does start standing up, so striking is important. But the level of striking too, you know, just because you're a good striker doesn't mean you're a boxing level striker. So I would think the more you bring that into an MMA fight, the better you're going to be off.
Yeah, I seen Eddie spar, you know, strictly boxers and held his own.
Yeah.
So Eddie, one of them type of guys that can definitely just hold his own and throw them hands.
So, you know, to Philly, you got to pick that up, man? Okay. We're almost done. So talk to me about, so you're born and raised Philly, right? Yep. Eddie Alvarez is also born and raised Philly. Yep. So in your opinion, what separates a Philly fighter from any other fighter?
I just feel as though that when you're in there with a Philly fighter, you want to know that you was in a fight. You know what I'm saying? We got them big hearts. You know, we go to war with whoever. We just basically ain't scared of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that always ready to go to war. You know, it don't matter who you are. And so, yeah, I think that it just comes from where you come from and how you was brought up. That, you know, you just you know, carry that into the ring with you.
Yeah, it's kind of like that natural grit that you don't necessarily get. You know, there's certain places in the world where people are known. You know, the Mexican fighters. You know, I'll say the Puerto Rican fighters because I have to. And Philly, you know, that's something that everybody who's facing you already knows. You know, that I'm, like you said, I'm going in for a fight, or this isn't going to go down easy, or, you know, nobody's getting dropped as easy as if I was fighting somebody else. So.
Exactly. It is almost like a junkyard dog, man. Just ready to, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's one of them things, like, you know, they say your name and then they say where you're from. Like, everyone knows, oh, this is gonna be a good one. You know what I'm saying? Right,
exactly. And it's worldwide known, right? They say Philly, they know, here we go, this is gonna be a good one.
Exactly.
I love it, man. Is it the Rocky movies, maybe, or no? Okay, all right. I forget who it was who said that. I'm like, I don't know, maybe.
Anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, that probably inspires more people who aren't from Philly to want to feel like a Philly fighter than Philly fighters, right?
Then they run up the steps.
Exactly. Even if it's just for cardio, you know, not even for boxing. Well, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. You're welcome back anytime. Keep us updated with any fights coming up. We're looking forward to seeing you in the ring.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
That was Ray Robinson, Philly fighter. Hopefully we see him next year in a big fight, you know, that he deserves. And also, this is the last episode of the year for Cageside, so we'll see you guys next year with lots to talk about. MMA, boxing, plenty more. See you guys.